to break down the Cougars.
Give me everything you got right now.
This is your Cougars Daily Update with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Oh, Smokey the Bear says July 5th is always a fun time to be in the news business. Mm-hmm. You guys love, I say you guys, Sam, you guys love, oh, look at this. Look at the Illegal Fireworks Task Force. This is my favorite because you know what they do?
Are there illegal fireworks in Utah still?
No. But you know, this
is
people coming over from Evanston, bro, with their truck beds and. But now here's the question: How do you? Well, no, you can't get the mortars. Can't see the ones. See those the canister shell mortars right there.
Oh,
that's a unique to Wyoming type situation. Okay. Not that I would know.
All right,
but you see what I'm saying?
I got you.
Yeah. When I lived in when you live in the Seattle area, there's a lot of the Native American reservations there. They're allowed to sell whatever they want.
Right, sure.
So we would head over to Benny's Jets every year. We went over to Benny's Jets.
You knew where to get them.
Oh, my goodness. And my parents, they had beachfront property, so we would go. And when you dig those things into the sand and shoot them over the ocean, amazing.
Awesome.
All right. Joining us on the program right now, he's fresh off of, I don't know how many Stadium of Fires this is in a row for Dave McCann. But, Dave, phenomenal job last night. Yeah, you get the old KSL 5 TV crew all back together again every year. So it's always very fun. Let's jump in here a little bit. We've got tons of stuff to talk about. Media Day's coming up on Tuesday. We're going to be leaving on Monday to go down to Vegas, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what BYU can do year two. It's their second year of the Media Days, and how's BYU preparing this year versus last year in terms of kind of everything, not even just the on-the-field stuff, the X's and O's stuff, but now that they've been in the league for a year and they're getting back to it, how is Kalani approaching it? We got to chat with him a little bit last week, their golf tournament and everything, but how do you see kind of BYU preparing this year versus what they knew from last year to now?
You know, when we went to Texas, everything was so new for the four newcomers, and so there was the welcome wagon was out, and then there was the wagon ready to kick Oklahoma and Texas out the other exit. And so there was that dynamic. So now this year, the newness is it's a new venue in Vegas, and there's four new teams. And so there's going to be the welcome mat again. And so I think this year is a little more different because the Oklahoma and Texas are the top dogs, and they're not there. And then there's just a room full of everybody else. I think it is going to be kind of a meet and greet again for BYU and for everybody else, just because of the four newcomers. But I think for Kalani and the guys going down, it's not the first rodeo now. It's a second rodeo, different place, but second rodeo, and I think they'll be a little more comfortable. I think last year taught them what to expect in the league and gave them some hard lessons. And then it's on them to have gone and fixed it and strengthened some weaknesses. And they believe they've done that. So I think even though the expectations are lower than they should be, I think largely because of the mystery at quarterback, I think they go in pretty confident that they're going to be one of the surprise teams in the league as opposed to just one of the newcomers like last year.
I think that would be a popular pick for surprise team. BYU, one of them, kind of like West Virginia from last year. But with Big 12 Media Days, Dave, every year, obviously, that's when the hype train kind of gets going because you get the preseason, media predictions coming out, which they came out this week. What are your thoughts on that? The preseason rankings, where BYU's at, and just the overall Big 12 predictions?
Well, I love in this state because you always look to see where BYU is, and then you look to see where Utah is.
Right.
That's just how the whole state functions. I think even Utah State fans go that same way. Look at this and look at that. Someone asked me about it yesterday, even at Stadium of Fire, and I said, what I think it is the league is at large is buying that one team's quarterback is healthy and back and ready to go. and with a good team around him. So Utah's pick number one. No one really knows. They're just assuming that after a major knee reconstruction that Rising's going to be that way. And so based on that, well, if he's healthy, then that's what they are. But then you look at BYU and they go, well, the last time we saw Retzlaff, they went 0-4, and Bohannon had surgery, didn't play last year. So they're going down here. And if Rising isn't healthy, Utah's not going to win it. And if BYU's quarterbacks are healthy, they're not going to take 13. So I just think that's kind of because everybody else is about the same. Who's got the good quarterbacks? And you can look in the league and you can see where I think West Virginia should be much higher than they are, but because I saw them last year. But it's kind of a vote of who's got the best quarterbacks. And there's mystery at BYU, and there's this notion that Rising is all fixed and ready for Utah. So that explains 1-13. I think on November 9th in Salt Lake, it won't be 1 against 13. But that's where we sit going into this week, and I think there'll probably be some chatter about that.
Dave, as you kind of see how this coaching staff has dealt with, the adversity of last year and just kind of the newness of last year, what's the thing you think that they learned the most from their first year in the conference?
Well, and Kalani talked to you about it at depth, at key spots, and defensive line depth, linebacker depth, where they really suffered last year and couldn't get off the field in the backside of the season. Quarterback depth, once they lost, they were 5-2 when Slovis went down. It didn't win again. And Slovis was a newcomer. So depth at quarterback, I think they answered that. I think Bohannon's going to surprise some people. I think Jake in his second year in the program, historically the second year has been so much better for any BYU quarterback that history's on his side there. You look at some of the other positions and they're pretty good. They got to stay healthy at receiver. I don't know if there was a game where they were all healthy last year. Certainly not out of the gate, and that added to things. But depth's the biggest thing. But that's what we knew going in. Other teams that had made that transition from G5, as it were, to P5, those first few years have been, whether you're TCU or Utah or anybody, it's not about your first 11, it's about your second 11, because your second 11 is going to be playing at the end of September. And BYU was better last year with their second 11 than in the years of independence, because they had 1 year of, hey, we're going into the Big 12. This year, I think you'll see more depth in those key spots, which will make them more competitive as the season goes on, as opposed to being worn out. I mean, when they played Iowa State and West Virginia in Jake's 2 starts, they just looked worn out, and both teams just ran the ball right down their throat. They bounced back a little bit against Oklahoma and Texas, or Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and played better, but then they didn't take care of the football enough to win those close games. So that's the areas I think we'll see significantly different is the second string depth to support the first string guys.
Earlier this week, middle of the week, I think it was on Wednesdays, when BYU announced their new series agreement with Colorado State, Dave, and we had this discussion, Alex and I, the other day about, which direction, BYU, maybe why they decided to go this direction or not. I'm just curious to get your take on it. CSU, a home and home, BYU's in the Big 12 now. Yeah, you want your preseason games, so to speak, your non-conference games to be, I guess, tune-ups to a sense. But at the same time, a home and home with a Mountain West team and it being Colorado State. What were your thoughts on that? I guess our thought was that, maybe they could have at least got a 2-for-1 or maybe a Utah State matchup or something like that.
Yeah, when I saw that, I thought, well, okay, that's not a game on the other side of the country.
Right.
There's a lot of BYU fans in Colorado. I know sometimes they take that into consideration. This year, I think your point is quite evident on why BYU would ever go to Wyoming,
right?
Like ever.
Yeah.
And SMU is a legit top 25 team. Mm-hmm. They were when the season ended last year, and to go there. But those might have had more to do with the past than
Right.
But the game's changed too now, where if you want to make the playoff, you got to do well in your league, but you also got to make your case the whole season. I mean, there's even talk of the SEC going to 9 conference games next year. That's just to solidify their playoff stuff. It just allows them another good SEC team instead of playing Grambling. So for BYU, I think they're still trying to figure it out. But you got to stay competitive. You can't play 3 Weber States and then go to Manhattan, Kansas. Mm-hmm. And not one, you've got to be 3-0 if you're going to do that. But at some point, you've got to play some guys that give you a little bit of legitimacy if you're trying to get to the playoffs. And I think everyone that's a P4 is trying to get to the playoffs. I think that's more important than winning the league, because that's where, you want to win your league in basketball, but what you really want to do is get to the big dance.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's some of that logic. It's a good regional game. I like it because of the history. Colorado State is not, of course, it'll be a few years before they get together. Maybe they'll get their act together by then. But they're not what the contenders they used to be. So I think it's a convenient game. And maybe, those kind of games also sometimes link into relationships with basketball and non-conference games down the road in the other sports too. So maybe this is the start of something. Remember, we haven't had any relationship with Colorado State since.
It's been a little bit.
And so it might be the start of something to do that. But you hate to go to a road game anytime, but BYU's not Michigan and Notre Dame. You have to at some point.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So why not make it a team that's a border state?
Dave McCann joining us, former KSL5 TV anchor, was where we all became buddies here at the station, and then, of course, down at BYUtv and writing for Deseret.com. The most recent one here about Hinckley Rapati, this is a guy that I think everybody saw kind of that breakout game for him against Boise State a couple of years ago, and he's dying to get back into it. And he's got all sorts of things going on with him in his life. He's expecting a child. He and his wife are, and that's not a new thing at BYU. But he's a guy that I was always expecting to have kind of a breakout. Where's he going to be this year if he's 100% healthy?
I think he'll be the starting running back, and I think he'll be the starting running back next month.
Wow.
He's healthy. He's got experience. A lot of, there's Miles Davis in there too, and then you got the new kids on the block, right? And even LJ Martin, who's got a lot of promise, he's still got a lot of things to learn. And Hinckley showed his last 3 games he went 3-0, right? Boise State, Stanford, and SMU in the New Mexico Bowl, and then tore his MCL and his meniscus in camp last year, and so he's just itching to get back on the field. He's about 225.
Yeah, he's a big dude. If you see
working out today, his buddy's Tyler Algier, so you should glean as much from Algier as you can. And but I think that there's a lot of questions about a lot of things. Are they deep enough in the running back room? They are if you stay healthy. No one questions the depth if your starter stays healthy, and they've got to have him stay healthy. That is a key, but their goal is to get 4 yards a carry, and they believe Rapati can do that. We'll see, but he's really eager to run behind that offensive line and be back with the boys. It's been a long year for him.
Dave, do you ever recall a July where there's been this much excitement about BYU basketball in the summertime?
Let me tell you what's going on down here. I don't recall a July 4th when it's 70 degrees at LaVell Edwards Stadium.
Yeah, man.
Without a pending storm. I mean, I don't understand. All of a sudden, we had the most perfect night weather-wise. And you're right. We were talking to Will Voigt about that the other day on Wise Guys. And, those guys are newcomers into this. They just think this is how it always is. And we're like, hey. But on July 1, people are wondering they don't even remember if we had a basketball team.
Right.
We were at a family gathering last night, and my wife came inside and goes, "It's chilly outside." I go, "Get out of here! What are we doing right now?" I mean, I guess it could be a lot worse. We've had some bad 4th of July heat, man. That was good. It was a good.
We're going to be dying on August 31st.
Of
you
course.
just know it. But July 4th was the night of all nights. But this roster, and I'll tell you what helped it along too is Jimmer's playing in the Olympics, and that's this month. And so there's been a basketball thing this whole time, starting with the former coach leaving, and then bam, bam, bam. And there's just something, and they still have a scholarship to give out. And when they announce that, that'll probably make some noise. And it's just been interesting. Everyone, even last night and around, it's basketball first, and then they go, well, I see we're picked 13th in football. And you go, hey, you know what? It's the best time of year when both sports are legit.
Yeah.
Because it's great for our business. We'll all agree on that.
Yeah.
And it's great for the fan to, Alex, as a lifelong Cougar, when basketball hasn't been great, when football ends, it's like, oh, it's gonna be a long time until spring ball.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's been the standard for the last little while. Like, I mean, that was really kind of where we were at for a long time, and I think people now are starting to look around and go, well, when's football going to get some kind of support? And I was like, you guys settle down. I think they've had quite a bit of support over the years, but yeah, that's where everybody's head's at.
Hey, last night we're looking around the stadium. The next time that stadium's full, it'll be opening night, and there'll be some jets fly over, and everyone will be reminded that BYU is a football school with 60,000 plus in there, all with high expectations. But this diversion has been nice, and if you just think about the week of November 5th is the home opener for Kevin Young's group, and then on the 9th is the BYU-Utah game up in Salt Lake. I mean, the two seasons combine on that week, and I'm not even sure if our fan base – we have to walk around with oxygen just to get through it. But isn't it fun, because there's been weeks in the past where, Sam, you're digging for a story because there's nothing, and fans don't even want to go because they're – been out of shape. And so this is the opposite of that. So win, lose, or draw, I just think we're heading into a very exciting time. And I agree with you guys. Having Utah back in the same conference as BYU elevates everything in every sport. And I just think we're headed for a really fun time in sports. And you know what? Looking around at what else is going on in the world and here in our country, we could use a good year of sports. So why not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. Dave McCann, Deseret.com, where you can read his byline. He is always pumping out these stories that go a little bit deeper than just the X's and O's on all the players that people are familiar with at BYU, the different sports, and maybe some of these other stories that they're unfamiliar with. And so, Dave, we appreciate it, man. I've got some passes to play down at Riverside, man. So anytime, but I have to have a member with me. That's the only thing. So anytime you want to throw me an invite,
give me a buzz.
I'll come down. We'll play some golf.
Hey, it's going to be 118 in Vegas.
I saw that.
118.
Hey,
I saw
not
that.
inside Allegiant, inside Allegiant or inside the Ubers that I'm going to be driving. I will never allow myself to be outside in the actual air. That's what my goal is.
It's going to be a fun week. Thanks, guys.
We'll chat with you next week, Dave. There you go. Dave McCann. BYUtv, Deseret.com. Dave always does a phenomenal job. How about that? Saying Hinckley's going to be the starter.
Yeah, that
Dave's not Harvey Unga,
right?
The running backs coach, but the reason I asked is because that's
a good question.
I love Hinckley Rapati's game, man.
Yeah,
and he's like, he has a lot of that Tyler Algier kind of power to him. Yeah. He's the 225 part, but he's not the height. He's like 5'9", 5'10", maybe, but he's like. I mean, he's on the all quad team.
Right.
He's on the all squat. He's on the all squat team. So like that's
It's always been just a matter of just staying healthy to be able to be on the field.
Right. And I think people, because they saw him with that success, like catching the ball out of the backfield, like those couple of screen passes were the things that got people kind of going. He's got good vision, and he is. But I mean, LJ Martin, if you could just have some 1-2 punch type of situation.
If you have a 1-2, that's a great thing.
And then to throw in Miles Davis, who has probably better speed than both of those guys, man, that running game, I'm telling you, that's something that we're going to be chatting with Connor Pay a lot on this year. I mean, last year was so embarrassing. He just goes, "We're embarrassed, dude. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. We got our butts handed to us. This sucks." Like, week after week going, we don't know what to tell you. Like, we have the game plan and then it just doesn't work out. We don't know we don't know what's going on. But I will tell you that the report is, and we had the interview with him a couple weeks ago or last week after the golf tournament. He just straight up said, "Dude, we're so pumped. Yeah. Like, everything's changed, and TJ Woods has changed everything for these guys, and they've changed some of their schemes and how they attack these things, and so they feel very, very confident that they're going to have a very different year running the football than they did last year." So there you go. Appreciate Dave McCann joining us. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner. Tons to go on a Friday edition, a July 5th edition right here of JJ and Alex. Sam Farnsworth, nice enough to hang out today. Stay with us, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.